We all have our horror stories. I'm going to unpack this one from Montana. First of all, behind me is the permitting timeline for the Rock Creek mine located in the northwestern part of Montana in Sanders County. It's Crick in Montana, there, Chairman King there. So this started in 1987. This is a lather, rinse, repeat cycle. You can see what happens here. We go through the permitting process, the draft EIS, the permits get finished, then we have the legal challenge. This started in 1987, by the way. This is 2022 here. They finished it again, legally challenged. This is 35 years. And this is so far the environmental reports that have been generated. In 1987, when this process started, Ronald Reagan was president. In fact, that was the year he stood before the Brandenburg Gate and said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. I would kindly submit, please, to the courts, to the regulators, please tear down this wall and allow us to move forward with a mine after some 35 years of court battles and regulatory battles, doing it the right way in a state, by the way, and a corner of my state that has one of the highest poverty levels in Montana. In fact, I met with a couple up there several years ago. We were talking about the loss of their natural resource industry, the loss of their timber industry, and they sadly said, Senator, what we have here in this beautiful part of Montana is poverty with a view. So there's a lot at stake here about the economic activity, the tax revenues to save these counties that are losing their population because there is no work, there's no tax base, not to mention we've got an ability here to generate more made-in-America minerals. Let me put that in perspective. This permitting process has been ongoing for 7 presidents. We've had 9 presidential elections since the mine was originally proposed. This is unacceptable. And I wish we could bring the folks from the county here that could plead before this body, Democrats and Republicans, and ask, when is this nightmare, frankly, going to end? I'll tell you who's making a lot of money. It's the lawyers who's making probably the most money on this, and probably some consultants. With every new permit comes more frivolous litigation from anti-mining groups. Their philosophy is leave it in the ground. On one hand, we have the Biden administration trying to block permitting of new oil and gas leases on federal lands. At the same time, you have these woke green groups trying to block domestic mining of the materials and the metals that are needed for renewable energy development. So what are we left with? Under President Biden and these far-left environmental groups and woke judges, we can't produce traditional energy on federal lands. We also can't mine the materials needed to produce renewable energy. And I'm not opposed to renewables. Let's think of renewables as additive to our portfolio as this transition occurs, not replacing. And if there's one case study to be made, it's look what happened to Europe and the position they put themselves in. We cannot let America get to that point. Increasing domestic mining, like the Rock Creek mine, will help bolster energy security. It's going to help our local communities. It's going to help people. The Forest Service predicted that this mine would result in 600 Montana jobs. They'd be a stable economic driver, and the county for more than 30 years. It's virtually a generation. This is an area that desperately needs these jobs and revenue. We are dangerously dependent on China for the minerals and the metals that run our economy and our national defense. In fact, of the 50 critical minerals, 31 are imported from China. This never-ending cycle of permitting and litigation must stop if we ever plan to reduce our dependence on China and foreign adversaries for minerals and metals. Over the years, we've seen China increasing mining, the United States becoming more dependent on imports. In 1995, the United States was 100% import reliant on 8 minerals. In 2021, that just increased to 17. It's a disturbing trend. For the sake of our kids and our grandkids and the security of this nation, is being fueled by lengthy permitting and constant litigation from green groups. Mr. Melbye, can you discuss the impacts of litigation on developing new mines and how this puts the U.S. at a disadvantage to countries like China and Russia?
You know, Senator, again, anyone who's been in mining in the United States has experience like you've shown very explicitly with this stack of documents. Again, I just want to remind everyone that the United States has the most robust, thorough permitting and licensing process, modern mining in 2022, understandably, and we accept being put through strong regulatory steps to bring a mine into production, but we just want it predictable and we want it transparent. And if you meet all the steps, you should be granted the license to mine. And I mean, our most successful track record, I think, was permitting a mine in the state of Wyoming in just over 6 years. And that was a huge success. But we didn't face, you know, much opposition to the mine in the form of legal challenges. But we find that a lot of those challenges, too, ignore the local communities, whether it's northern Minnesota or it's South Texas or it's the Powder River Basin of Wyoming. These are people's real lives here. They're not some esoteric argument about mining or not mining. If we don't do it here, it's going to be undertaken in places like the Congo or in Africa or South America where they don't share our values for the environment, for tribal peoples. We have protections for all of those things in our current regulatory structure in the United States, and we just need to enforce those and streamline them as much as we can.
Thank you. I'm over my time, but everybody I've spoken to involved in these operations, they want to comply with the regulations. They want to do it the right way. The modern mining practices do it the right way. We're better off doing it here in America in terms of global stewardship than outside our borders. And by the way, the difference here between perhaps Montana and other countries is welcome to the Ninth Circuit Court.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.